Welcome to my podcast, Actual Leigh. This is the continuation of last week's conversation. Let's dive right back in. So I love to just fuck up and then figure it out. And then when I get stuck, I go and research it. And sometimes if I can't find the answer, I got to go find someone that knows how to do the thing. And then I'll come to them and be like, hey, I'm stuck on this particular thing. But if I felt like somebody was looking at my stuff being like, well, it's wrong, like, because it would like, my brain would be like, I'm not showing you anymore.
Yeah. And that was something that's something that I had to try very hard to not make her feel like I was criticizing it, was because I would point out all of the good things about it, and I would tell her that I really liked it because I did. It was genuine. And it was one of the things I do have an idea as to how you might make it even better. It's not that it was bad, it's just make it even better. And I would offer, and she would either say yes or no. And it's so, and for somebody like myself, it's just that I just want to jump in. I just
Yeah.
like I am, and one of the things that's gotten me, I don't want to say in trouble, but cost me, is like I'm the all-in friend. If you are my friend, I'm gonna let you're gonna know. There isn't gonna be a question
Yeah.
because I don't know how to do halfway,
Right.
you know. And it causes me sometimes to um there's some uncomfortableness to it sometimes, but there's also like I set myself up for failure because I'm putting all of this energy into this friendship. And it's like I put that energy into all of my friendships, you know, and um that person is not like that.
Yeah.
And they're unable, or they don't know how to give back that kind of energy. So it's kind of like I've had to remind myself, dude, not everybody's gonna be that way, you
Right.
know.
I
But that
could see that.
also, yeah, it's I just I I I'm a helper, and
Yeah.
it's probably, my therapist calls it codependency, but
There's a line, and
it's a
it's a
fine
little,
line.
yeah. If it brings you joy in the long run, as long as you're not hurting yourself. That's
Yeah,
and
that's the
yeah,
hard part. Yeah, sometimes.
I tend to be like that, and I get like where I hyper specialize in someone as I'm getting to know them, and I find that that doesn't tend to go the other way. So when it does, it makes me very uncomfortable because I'm like, why are you in my business? Right? Like I
Yeah,
don't know how to share my space the way that other people will share their space with me. And I haven't had a lot of experience with that, even being safe if I let someone into my space like that. So
yeah,
it's like I'm
yeah,
very like I can be a little bit like crunchy when people are trying to get to know me, and I'm like, I need more time. Like I need, I can't just, you know. And there's some stuff that I'm very like, I don't know if I'm particular about because I had run into a situation with somebody that we started becoming like we've known each other online for a long time, and then we started to know each other better. And he was doing stuff that I consider overstepping.
hmm
And I said that it was overstepping, and he kind of turned around, kind of made it my problem instead of, like if someone tells me if I overstepped, I'm going to be like, I want to understand that. Help me
yes,
understand how that's an overstep. And he didn't have that curiosity. He kind of made it my problem.
hmm
And which of course is a red flag, but I sometimes get focused on my curiosity around someone's behavior enough that I ignore red flags for a little bit. So I had a couple of weeks of being confused.
yeah,
But part of I think the what I ultimately just went, can we just go back to how we were friends before and not this dynamic anymore? Because like when we would hang out, he would use things I've said about my life, like my childhood or whatever, like it was his personal knowledge. Um, like I had shared with him a nickname that my parents had for me, and he had filled that nickname in with a whole bunch of like assumptions about who I am now, and
hmm
it was contextually like inaccurate. And then when I was mentioning something else totally unrelated, he interrupted me to plug in that knowledge, kind of like, hey, look, I know this thing about you, but it was totally unrelated. He related it
Right.
because of some word thing. And I was like really uncomfortable. He did it in front of other people who don't know that about me. And I was like, this feels like an overstep. This feels like, why is he
Yeah.
using my information in a relational way that's not even relational? But I couldn't, like, my therapist is not available, so I couldn't unpack it with her. And I tried to talk to him about it, but he didn't see a problem, on his side. And so I just kind of was like, okay, all right, well, can we just go back to, so we went back to the same dynamic that we used to have. It's like, I don't think he's like a bad guy. And I think that like he had this very strong, he kept offering to help when I had already said, don't offer me help. Like, he kept doing it anyways. And it was stressing
Hmm.
me out. And I was like, could you just not? So I think all of that was like legitimate, but he was trying to connect in a way that is not natural for me. And it felt very stifling, like I would have to
Yeah.
make myself behave like someone else in order to be okay with it. And I was like, I can't, I'm going to dislike you if we keep having this dynamic. So let's not have this dynamic anymore. And like,
Yeah.
let's just revert
Yeah.
back. And I'm
Yep.
glad that he agreed to that. Like he doesn't seem to resent me or anything like that, which I think says a lot. It means my perception of him as a reason, good person is true,
Yeah.
because, you know, but it is like this where I was just like, and I don't have a lot of those experiences because I don't have a lot of new people come into my life who ever actually get close. You know what I'm saying? They're all really far away. They don't ever make it past that certain threshold. So it was my first experience with that threshold being crossed in like a
Yeah.
really long time. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm old now or what's going on, but I do not feel like I can adapt to this. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I find that like for me is and I have this conversation with people sometimes very early on. Um and I say to them, look, if I say something that bothers you or offends you or I do something that offends you, tell me. Don't be afraid to pull me aside and say, "Hey, stop it."
yeah,
Um because like I never go into a situation intending to hurt someone. If I hurt someone, it's never intentional.
right.
That's just not me.
Yeah,
But I have found that some people are they've had so many bad experiences with telling somebody that they've hurt them that they don't, and they
yeah,
struggle to communicate that to me. And it's like, but like if I do something, like I want to know what I did so I can correct it. Sometimes I will make the mistake multiple times before I get it, before I
right,
understand. But it's also because for the longest time, I wouldn't ask questions. Like I was like, I should just know this. And it's that
right.
whole like social interaction thing. Like I'm supposed to know this. So I'm not going to ask questions. Like
Yeah,
me asking questions was a problem. And I've started to, especially in the last few years, I've started to, if I mess something up, it's okay, how can I be better? Tell me what I did. Give me a little detail because that's important. And if I don't understand or if I'm not completely wrap my head around the concept, I need to be able to ask more questions. I need to
right.
get that clarification because people oftentimes are either, like I said, afraid to say anything, or they communicate in such a vague way that they think they have communicated it to you, but they actually haven't.
Yeah,
And,
they completely failed to unpack what was actually in their head. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I had a few years ago, I had a friend who ended up cutting me out of her life because she, for some reason, I didn't understand that she needed me to not communicate with her. so much. And it was like, but I wasn't allowed to ask questions. Like if I asked a question, I got, you know, felt like I was stupid.
Yeah.
Um, and then at one point, she sent one of our mutual friends to tell me this. Well, she picked someone who is probably the absolute worst person to do this because this person is so non-confrontational that um, they basically danced around the problem instead of saying, "Hey, you need to, you know, leave her alone for a while." And I didn't realize that I was doing something detrimental. Like
Right.
one of the messages that bothered with that, and it was because of a string of things. I literally the last message I sent her was, "Hey, um, I just want to, just please, wish Charlie a happy birthday for me, her daughter." Like what? That's totally like nothing I sent her was mean. There was no negativity. It was just a over communication, and I have done that so many times. And I try not to do it, and
I don't know how
I
is wishing her kid and happy for an over communication.
I don't know. That is,
That
again, it was one of those, why is that a problem?
it sounds like you're trying to fit into a box that she made for people in her
Hmm.
life, and she's more the problem than
Yeah.
you.
And the thing was is like we were both unpacking a lot of stuff at the time. She was going through um a lot of the same like mental issues, being, diagnosed with ADHD, being realizing that you probably are on the spectrum, um, the borderline personality disorder, which was something that I recently, not in the last few years, got diagnosed with. Um, so we were dealing with very similar things. And it's like, I thought to myself, why doesn't she understand? And I think it was just we were not capable of understanding each other at that point,
Yeah.
and like everything seemed to be a problem. But yeah, I have. I will admit that that is one of the things that I fail at more
Yeah.
often than not. Where I have to consciously uh, remind myself, hey, you've sent this person like 5 messages in the last day. You might want to cool it.
Yeah.
And
I have a
I struggle with
tendency
it.
to blow people up. And thankfully the people in my life now, they don't mind it. And I don't expect them. I think the reason why they don't mind it is because I don't expect them to do the same thing back. I'm very
Hmm.
much like text is there when you are. So I have friends I've made
Yep.
on TikTok that we will text every couple of weeks or every couple of months. And sometimes when we'll respond back and forth a bunch and then they just stop responding. And then they respond to the last text a few weeks later. And that's okay. That's our dynamic. It's,
Yeah.
I want to have friends that are more available, but they don't have to be that friend, right? And it's
Right.
fine. Um, but I know that I probably scared people away when I was younger, but nobody ever told me, right? Because I can just, you
That is
know,
the same way.
and I do tell people if I'm too much, if I'm talking too much, just let me know so that I know where your limits are. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to change myself. I might just decide to not be friends with that person.
Yeah.
But because it does come down to a compatibility issue. There are the things that we can compromise on. There are the things that we can learn about another person so that we can love them better. But
Hmm.
but if we're always doing that for other people and it's not going the other way, then something's wrong, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
and that's I think like the last couple of years learning about my neurodivergence has helps me have a more defined sense of self. It's not
Yep.
that I wasn't aware of myself before, and I actually was pretty good about certain things, but it's made me less tolerant of trying to fit into other people's boxes.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, no, this feels really bad. This isn't my nervous system doesn't like this. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And the thing that everything you said about like if you do something wrong, you want people to communicate with you. I'm the same way. I would never intentionally do something hurtful or annoying or whatever. And so I absolutely, it's like want to know about other people. I am very curious and I don't always seem curious because I'll talk a lot and that there's not always for me like questions will often come later like
Yeah.
after a conversation, I'll start thinking of the questions. And so I'll start texting the person all these questions I thought of after I've processed our conversation.
Hmm.
Or sometimes I need to feel comfortable to ask questions because I do have earlier life experiences of asking questions being bad. Men are especially prone to being offended when you act interested in them, even though that's all they fucking want is attention, right? Like,
Right.
what the fuck? Like it's none of your business. I'm like, what are you thinking about? None of your business. Like, I was just curious, but it's like they think there's an ulterior motive and I'm really bad at ulterior motives. Like that is not
Oh,
in my programming at all. There is
yep.
no read between the lines for me. It's just this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's literally like, you know, you like that whole thing is like if I ask you what are you thinking about? What's on your mind? I want to know. I'm not
yeah,
asking just to ask a question. It
yeah.
is quite literally me being curious about you as a person. And, um,
They would think I
you
was
know,
accusing them of cheating or something. And I was
yeah,
like, I'm like, if I think you're cheating, I'm just gonna accuse you of cheating. I'm actually gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna accuse you, but
yeah,
yeah. Like
yeah.
it's
I mean, it's
not,
like,
it's weird.
it's, yeah, it's that whole, say what you mean,
Yeah,
because I don't like, there were times when I would give somebody a gift and they would like, that's not what I wanted. I had told you what I wanted, or, and I'm like, when? Well, I gave you hints. I'm like, you're giving hints to the wrong person.
right.
I don't do hints. Unless you are right on the surface with me, I am not going like so I literally started like I do it with my kids too, is like, what do you want?
Yeah, that's what my son
Tell
and I
me what you
do.
want and I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
Um and it's just yeah, and it's like well, you need to talk about like talking a lot. My oldest, we have this thing where I can look at her and go, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, sorry."
Yeah.
She will dominate a conversation and
Yeah.
and I do it too. And I'm not so, but it's like I want that signal to say, "Hey, reel it in."
Yeah.
Because it's like because then it's like you get to a point where okay, maybe I'm offending somebody,
Right.
by doing this. And I don't want to offend anybody. It's like people see my some of my videos and they're like, where I talk about, kindness matters. And that's not a shtick for me.
Right.
It's that like leading with kindness is something that I have always like I've taught my daughters. Somebody comes at you, you know, there's no unless you are having to physically defend yourself. Your first reaction shouldn't be meet them at that level of anger
Yeah,
because
it's like,
it's
hey, what's
just
going
going to make
on?
things
Can
worse.
I
Hey,
help you? Like what
yep,
is yeah, it's interesting because I have been told that I can be very intimidating in person, like physically, like just because I'm very sort of matter of fact and sort of flat and I don't demur or any of that stuff. And I used that word way before it became like a thing on TikTok. I've been talking about demurring being part of how women like manipulate men and sort of be seen in a certain way for a very long time because I don't
yep,
do it and it that learning about that through reading sociology books helped me understand why I was treated so differently than a lot of my female friends were. But so I've had people who once they get to know me, they're like, I'm surprised like how nice you are because I guess it doesn't read initially. I don't really get it, but I'm super nice. Like I'm a very kind person and it's not like it just is,
hmm
because I'm happy to help. I'm happy to listen and my friends know that I am a resource for information. So, like if I have a friend who's going through something and they're too anxious to research it, they know that my curiosity will, right? And I do it
Same.
with, and I'll do it when people mention stuff, but I won't tell them I did it because I don't want to overwhelm them.
Yeah.
But then I have that information and I can accommodate and understand them better. And then if they need information about it, I'm like, hey, I can totally look that up for you and help them like kind of be prepared for stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, I just like doing that. It's just, I
Yeah.
think, all that I don't argue on the internet. I don't understand it. I've never understood arguing even in my personal life. You can have disagreements. If you're arguing, you're not listening, right? It's
Right.
there's no reason for it if both people are listening. So when it starts to feel like an argument, as in I feel like somebody's not listening or I have to repeat myself, I leave. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
you know and online it's the same way. I sometimes will respond to rude comments if it sounds like they made an assumption but they might be open to the correct information. I will be like, oh,
Uh,
actually, blah blah blah. I will not respond to the aggression because there is just sort of this habitual aggressiveness online, that
yeah.
people have started to use, that have learned over the years to use their language that way. And I have had people be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got that all wrong. And we end up having a conversation. It's cool. But if a person isn't going to listen, I just block them. I don't,
Yeah.
why? There's no reason for it. I'm not going to be mean to them, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things. It's like I'm very big on leading with kindness. I'm, I am a kind person. If I am unkind to you,
You
I've
earned
thought
it.
about it, and you've given me a good goddamn reason.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I don't, I do. I don't know necessarily arguing is the word, but sort of like that whole clap back at other men. Um, Partly because they don't like to be confronted by another man
Right.
because they think you're a dude. Why are you talking to me like this? Well, it's
And it
because
needs somebody
you're
needs
an
to say
asshole.
it. That's part of
Mhm.
the social pressure of behaving well is part of why people behave well. And men get away with shit because nobody says anything. So it has to
Yep.
be said. And they're not going to listen to women.
No. What's interesting to me has always been, like I'll wade into the conversation and just bury the person. And, it goes one of two ways. They either block me or they ignore me, you know. And I've had people block me, and I have literally gone into my alt account and found them and been like, "Yeah, nice try.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this." But
Yeah.
I've found that especially with men's shitty behavior towards women, it's um like it's and I've said this online before, it's like it's not women's responsibility to shut down toxic masculinity. It's men's responsibility. Other men need to step up and say, "Hey, your behavior is shitty, knock it off."
Yeah.
It's, and I've said we built the system. Men built the system. We are the ones that need to burn it to the ground.
Right.
We can't leave women alone to do it because it's not going to work. And it's not
Right.
because women are incapable. Y'all are stronger than I'll ever be. But, it's us. It's ours. We have to stop it. And I'll get off my soapbox, but
Yeah, I mean,
hey,
I totally agree with you, and it's a species issue, and I don't know, it irritates me when the group that suffers is expected to sort of carry the weight of change, and I'm like, you know, but it's just
no,
kind of because any people don't want to change, they don't want to do the work, so it's like you keep having to call them out, and it's so tired. I've gotten to this point where I'm just like, I just,
yeah.
my favorite bumper sticker when I was a teenager was if you aren't outraged, you aren't paying attention. I made
Mm,
some stickers for my shop that say that. I thought people would like them, but nobody cares. But
yeah. I know that feeling. Oh my
yeah,
God.
but
This
but
is going to hit. Nope.
Yeah, I have sold almost nothing that's in my shop. It's in 3 years. It's
Ugh.
crazy. I'm just like, but people tell me I make cool stuff. I'm like, I don't believe you anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, then buy it.
yeah, right. Just share it. They don't even do that. Like, come on. I
Oh
think you
God.
you and Murph, he's a fellow clown buddy. Hey Murph, he'll probably hear this. And Tyler, main people share my stuff.
Hmm.
And that's about it.
Yeah,
And I appreciate it. And that's why I'm always like surprised because I'm so used to the silence when I share stuff. And then,
yeah,
even there's even people that I share their stuff and then they don't share my stuff back. And
yep,
Instagram used to be very reciprocation based for that stuff, but they have like it stopped
yeah. Not
happening.
anymore.
So
Not anymore. And yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from, and it's that whole you kind of I think it goes back to that whole some people are just not capable or don't think about that whole giving back that level of energy, even if, even just not, maybe not the same, but close to it,
yeah, they give it to other people.
and that's what's like weird to me, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but what are you going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop supporting people that I, um, like. For me, there is no better feeling than seeing one of my friends succeed.
Right.
I love that. That gives me so much positive chemicals. I mean, some people find that really weird. Like, like I'm supposed to be bitter that they're successful and I'm not. And it's like,
There's
no.
space for all of us.
Yes.
I don't that's the same thing as the catty thing with women in workplaces and stuff. That doesn't it's stupid. There's space for all of us. It's just I don't know. I reject all of it. It
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't look at social media very much. I'm very much a creator, don't enjoy consuming. It's just I like this. I like conversations. We can DM and have conversations and I will be there for that, but the consuming of content is like uses energy in a different way because I'm not getting anything really back from it, right? It's
Yeah.
just consuming, especially anything that involves like a lot of listening. I can do okay with like short jokes or whatever, but so like the way that you'll send me stuff on TikTok and stuff is good because like I want to see what you posted and I want to be able to share it, but I can't do the work to stay up with the feed, right? Or
I don't think
remember.
anybody can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't even follow that many people, but it's like so anyway, keep doing that. But
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. No. And the thing is like with
I don't
TikTok is I use like the friends feed primarily
me
because
too.
those are the people that I have chosen and they've chosen me. So there is, I don't want to say an expectation of reciprocation, but those are the people that, you
You
know,
signed up for
signed up
basically.
for. So I
Yeah.
want to see that it's like that in the following feed. Um,
Yeah. I don't look
but
at I don't really scroll that much, but have you noticed with the friends one, I will only see like 5 people in it. It doesn't show me my friends. It just shows me a couple of the same people
yeah,
that and then a couple suggested people. And so even then I'm not like I that like that I signed up for Blue Sky because I was very excited that there wasn't an algorithm and everything is timestamp based because that's like what I
yeah,
prefer. And I feel
yeah.
like that would make people more honest about following people, but it didn't. I literally like people following like 10,000 people and I'm like, what the
Nobody
you
can keep up with
you
that.
can't you are I don't follow those people back. I'm like, you are never going to interact with my shit.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
don't whatever.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that, like the early days of like Twitter, where it was follow for follow.
Dude,
I
Twitter's
don't
still like
do
that.
that. It
The
is, I
freaking
don't
I
do that
hate
shit.
it. People get mad. They expect it. So what I do is I follow them and then I mute them.
Yeah,
You know? I'm like, whatever. They never engage with my stuff anyways. So like if
right.
they engage with my stuff, I might be interested in theirs. But a lot of
Yep.
people they just repost anyways, and I'm only interested in people who post their own stuff.
Yes.
Occasional reposts are okay. I prefer quote posts where they make their comment so I have the context that attaches to the person and I know why they're
Yep.
sharing it. I'm just very interested in people and not the sort of, oh, look, we have this thing in common. I don't care about what we have in common. I'm interested in you, right?
Right.
And a lot of the connections I'm seeing on X are based on, hey, we all like the horror movies. Hey, we all like this thing. And I don't want to see movie posters. I want to know how your day was. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yep. Yep.
It-
Yeah, and
it's
I run into that too, and it's just yeah, the whole follow for follow thing just screams, I want a number. I'm after
right.
that number, not you. Like you said, it's like I don't care about you. I care about that number that says how many
Yeah.
followers I have. And yeah, I've never played that game because you're
No,
right. You're never going to interact with my content anyway. That just screams you're never going to interact with my content.
exactly.
You know,
It's authenticity. That's like I say if I'm the niche of my content, but I would say authenticity is sort of the running theme of it, right? It's
Mhm.
like because I'm just very, very me. And so like that's what I'm interested in out there as well. And it's not that I'm not interested like when people create stuff that isn't about themselves. I'm also interested in that because I'm interested in the person.
Right.
It's kind of that connection drives my interest. Like I wouldn't be interested in listening to somebody read a poem normally. That's not something I'm going to stop and listen to. Like at all. I don't understand poetry. It doesn't make like song lyrics do not make any sense to me. I don't know if it's the
Yeah.
auditory processing disorder or what, but I'm just like, can some motherfuckers just say what they mean? Like I just
Yeah.
there's no, but I'm like I think it's cool that you do it. I think like seeing the evolution of it and the way that you've changed your editing and how it's progressed and that it's clear you can hear sometimes when you're reading you can hear like your enjoyment in that moment or like whatever so there's
Mhm.
like other things to get from it. I might not understand the
Yeah.
poetry but you
Yeah,
know
that's fine.
but it's like it's yeah for me the human connection is very much like a driving part of that. That's why I don't follow very many big accounts. The big accounts I follow are nonsense. They're not about the
Mhm.
person. They're like aliens telling puns. It's
Fart jokes and cat memes.
yeah, exactly. There's no hot dogs in unusual places is one of my favorite Facebook groups. Like
Oh my God. That's amazing. I tend to find like Instagram is just like this gold mine for just weirdest crap.
yeah.
It's like that the video that I sent yesterday. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's funny. Leigh thinks farts are funny, so I'm gonna send it to
So, and
her.
that's right on my like those are the things that get circulated and yeah,
I
it's
am I am convinced that look, farts are funny. And there are two kinds of people in the world: people that think farts are funny, and people that lie about them not being funny.
I saved that. I was going to be like, can I make that into like a magnet or something? Like
I love that. It's just, come on. It is
yeah.
a freaking, your butt is making noise.
It's so funny. My
How
mom
is
used to
that
get
not
so
funny?
mad at me, like, because I burp before the last my health issue started. I used to burp all the time because I probably had stomach issues. I didn't feel like I had stomach issues, but I burped like Revenge of the Nerds, burping without any
Oh,
fizzy drinks or anything.
right.
And I just saw we were talking about this the last episode that I recorded. There's a guy that he's got the world record for the loudest burp. It's like some over 100 decibels. It's
Yeah.
fucking crazy, right? And I went and I watched it, and like it's the same. His burps sound a lot like mine used to, and I was like, I could have competed in that. I'm pretty sure because one time I burped in my
Yeah.
friend's kitchen, and the dishes. I I didn't hear it. My friends told me because my eyes were vibrating. So I was like distracted by that. But they said the dishes in the cupboard rattled when I burped. And I was just like, oh shit. Like it's
Oh
amazing.
God.
So my
But it's
mom
like,
used to get so mad. And when I became an adult, she realized I was never going to outgrow it, right? I'm going to
yep.
walk up to her, pull my leg up, and be all, and rip one, right? Like it's just never. And all my uncles are the same way. You know, and so
And
now she started laughing. It was like
yeah.
I think she just felt like she had to be stern because I was a child and I don't
Yes.
know.
That, oh my God, that is so like my kids, I'm like, one time I literally downed a root beer, like really downed it. Next thing I know, it's just whoa. And my kids come out of their bedrooms and go, "What the hell was that?" And I go, "I burped." And my youngest daughter, no lie, looks at me and goes, "Nice." And they just go back in their rooms. And then the best was my oldest daughter when she was probably about maybe 4 or 5. She she ran up to me and she goes, "Hug me, Daddy, hug me." So I give her a hug. She goes tighter, and I squeeze her. All of a sudden, and then she goes surprise, and then she runs away.
I used to, my stepmom would give these amazing bear hugs, and I used to say, like, hold it and come up to her and be like, I need a hug. And so she'd like hug me, and I'd be like, damn it. So funny.
It's just yeah, it's one of those things. Like I never taught them that. Look, don't be at some sort of social function and just drop one. Probably not the best idea. Not with people you don't know. But I mean,
You
it's
can
yeah,
make friends that way.
probably yeah, because you'll have somebody that turns around and goes, nice.
Yeah, and scare away the people that you don't want to talk to.
Yeah, but it's like I was so like hell bent on not being that dad. That's constantly
Yeah.
like you said, it was like you were because you were a kid, she felt like she had to be stern and
Stifle
cry.
these things. And
Right.
I don't,
And it's
and
like
I, yeah, I have this thing like almost 50, dress up like a clown. People say that's cringe or some shit. And my response is all animals in Animal Kingdom play throughout their lives until they are dying, and sometimes even
mhm.
then. Why are we supposed to stop? Like all you're doing is limiting your future self when you get older from joy. That's it.
Yeah.
Play is important. We are wired for it. It's just part of it's like practicing life and
Yes.
what so I'm just like no we will so I never stifled that. I taught him time and place. That's it. So swear words
Yep.
were always allowed. It's you don't use them abusively,
Yep.
and you check in if you're not sure if it's an appropriate, like he knew don't swear around it. Like the first time he swore when talking to his grandma, his face, he like went ashen. He's like, oh, sorry, grandma. Like she was fine. But it was so funny because he had really he's definitely on the spectrum, and that the rules, there weren't a lot of them, but the ones that there were, he took very like seriously. So it was
Yeah.
it was very cute. But yeah, he was very proficient at swearing at a young age. And that was, like my mom swore all the time, but I wasn't supposed to do it. Like, how does
Yeah.
that even make sense? Like, it's just language. It's the
Yep.
context that matters. Like, and you know, so I just was like, I just want him to be as happy as possible because it's not easy to find happiness
Yep.
in the way that things are. And that was before it started getting even worse. Like
Yeah.
I had a feeling in my teens that was kind of like everything has to fall apart in order to get better,
Yeah.
and there was just this feeling like,
Well, it's falling apart now.
yeah, and now I'm like, okay, well that accelerated really quickly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. No, I mean you're right though. I mean it's why give that up? You
right,
know, it's like the old saying, getting old is inevitable, growing up is optional.
right.
I mean my grandfather on his deathbed had a moment of lucidity when the nurse came in and he was 75. Um, she looked and she goes, "Mr. Thompson, how are we feeling today?" And he reaches over, touches her hand, and goes like this, like he's, and I'm like, that was my grandfather. That was
Yeah,
just everything that like said so much about him and his characters. Like he had Alzheimer's and it was really bad, but he had those moments of lucidity where he would, and his first thought was to crack a joke.
right.
I mean, it's just he was one of the funniest freaking people. Like we were when I was a kid, I think he would do it to rile my grandmother up. My grandmother was like, she had this unique ability to suck all of the air to create a vacuum inside of a car because whenever like there was even remote, she would just like she had this like insuck of air and he would make fun of her mercilessly for it. And but one night we went out to dinner and we get out of dinner and there's a flat tire. And so my little sister and my grandmother get in the car, and I'm out there being I was probably like maybe 7, 8, and I'm out there, being a big boy, and I'm going to help Grandpa change the tire. So we did, and we changed the tire. Well, he left the hubcap off the tire, off the wheel, put it all in the trunk, and we started going. And we get in the car, and I'm sitting up front with him, and he leans over and he says, you know we're going to be have to be careful on the way home. And I'm like, why? Is it because we put on the spare tire? And he goes, no, we might get pulled over for indecent exposure. And I'm like, why? And he goes, car's nuts are showing. My grandmother could not yell Vernon loud enough. That was the kind of, if he could tell a joke that would also upset my grandmother, he did it. He
That's
just the
amazing.
and he was so kind. And I'm convinced that I get my helpfulness from him because somebody needed help, he would grab his tools and he would go. There would be no question. He would just go and he never expected anything in return, you
Yeah.
know. He would gladly accept hugs because he was a big hugger. But yeah, he was somebody that just that so and that's where I got my sense of humor from.
Yeah.
Because
That's
if I go for the joke, that's, when in doubt, go for the joke.
right.
You
I
know?
it's interesting because when I was younger, I was really funny. Like I would be stuck in line and I would just start like popping off, and then everybody in line is entertained because I'm popping
Yep.
off. And I don't have that as much now. And I think it's because of the way my health issues changed, like impacted my brain. I'm way
Yeah.
more mellow and calm. Like people who knew me before are kind of like, whoa, because I'm very like, because I don't have the energy. I don't even stim as much as I used to because I can't expend the energy on it.
Yeah.
But I have, and I've also found online that I'm less likely to break into the my humorous stuff. But in person, if I can like pull energy off people, right? Because I'll do that when I'm in a room with somebody, then I'll start like cracking the jokes again. I'll be like, oh yeah, I am actually funny. I forgot. Like, it's real hard for me to tap into it in this way. But yeah, sometimes I wish I could have a camera without it annoying me to capture. Cause like if I get on a tear, like I'll be in the car talking to my housemate or whatever, and he's like fucking rolling, like, and I'm just like, damn, I wish I could share that. But
My kids
I'm
would,
never committing to editing video to that extent.
oh, yeah, no, my kids would always get, and even my oldest daughter, she laughs up a storm when we're driving somewhere and something sets me off and I just start railing on whatever it is, whether it's a guy who cut me off, and I'm not like, fuck you, buddy. I am
Yeah.
just going on this whole tear about how stop being in such a goddamn hurry, and I just get so worked up about it. And she's over here freaking laughing her ass off because I am just being completely unhinged in how I'm getting upset about this thing
Right.
that's really kind of minuscule, and it's just, oh my God.
I do that because it's like fun. It's part of
Hmm.
why, like I get really like colorful and creative, and I'll just like kind of like do this sort of run down the imagination of what kind of like if they drive really badly, I'll be like, I bet they do this with the shopping cart and blah blah blah, blah, that kind
Yes.
of thing. And like and it's just, and yeah, if my son's in the car, he'll like, now that he's older, he'll like join in, but it's I don't do it like in an angry way, even though I'm being very like dramatic or whatever. It's totally just like letting off steam because somebody was being a dick, and like what are you gonna do
Yep.
about it, right? So I just
Yep.
end up having fun with it. And some people like don't, get it and they'll be like, "Oh, think I'm actually mad." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not actually mad. I'm just being stupid." Like,
Yeah.
but most
Yep.
people just if they're in the car with me, I think it's funny because it's so like I like there was one time I was like somebody somebody brake checked somebody else and shit like that's like fucking hate that. And once I was done ranting, I just kind of like got real quiet and then I just went, hope somebody just like slams into your big toe with a fucking garbage truck. And my friend was just like, what the fuck? And just starts laughing. Like, it doesn't even make sense, but it's so satisfying.
I always find people being like absurdly ridiculous about like they get so mad that they do something like really stupid. Um, and I just like and sometimes I instigate, sometimes I don't. Like there was one of those things where this like I'm driving down the road and this guy in this giant truck goes from behind me, goes around, crosses over a double yellow line, gets goes by me, and we pull up to a stoplight. And I'm literally like right next to him. Like there's two lanes, and I go off into this one because I'm going to make a right hand turn. And as I'm driving by, I go, and I can see him losing his shit in the rearview mirror, and I'm going, man, I hope he doesn't have a dog because he's going to go home and kick it.
Yeah.
It's
I
like, Jesus, dude,
yeah,
it's
this
not that
shit,
big of a deal.
right? The shit, the way people get mad where they feel like they're losing control over something that they shouldn't expect to have control over in the first place is it's something. And when I rode motorcycles all the time, I saw all kinds of crazy shit. And I was in this position where I could agitate people to make fun of them and get away.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
they're not gonna, I was on 1,000 cc motorcycle. And I'd
right.
make sure I was in a position where they weren't close enough to me. So I do stuff like that when people get mad when you're like lane splitting or whatever, because it's legal in the state of California.
Yeah.
And it's actually legal in pretty much all of the world, except for those
Yeah.
states in the US that it's not. And it's significantly safer for a motorcyclist to lane split than to sit in traffic. But that's
Yeah.
that's the thing. But you just like wave at them and you kind of dance in your seat and stuff, and people just they don't like you're being silly when they're angry. Oh, what the fuck? Like they get so like, and you could see like the body language in the vehicle almost like change because they're just even more mad. And I'm just like, bye, and like, shoom, take off. And I never did like aggressive stuff in that context. There were situations where I kicked people's lights in and stuff, but those were controlled situations where they did something extremely dangerous and I was able
Yeah.
to make sure that I was safe, but I was making it very clear to them that what you did was not. You were threatening someone. You were basically attempting murder. And so I
Yeah.
just broke your headlight. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Oops.
yeah, not sorry. But yeah, I'm usually just being like goofy and sometimes they would join in and just wave and start laughing or whatever, which those are the
I think some
best.
people, yeah, I think some people like they realize sometimes when you do that kind of thing to them, they kind of realize how ridiculous they're being. And
Yeah.
they're just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
It's funny.
yeah, those are the best. Like I would rather end something with you know, but it's I don't know, just being able to be goofy when someone's being an ass is kind of nice. It like lets me blow off that steam and then I don't hold on to it. Like,
Yeah.
some people it's like their whole day is shaped around that moment after that. They got to go home, sit down at the dinner table or couch or wherever they eat and just be mad about that thing and talking about it and
Yep.
and I'm like, I already forgot about it. Like,
Well, I mean, I mean, it's like, dude, if that's the worst thing that happened to you today, you ain't doing too bad.
right?
You
Right?
know, I say that a lot. It's like, if that's the worst thing that happens to me today,
Right.
um, and sometimes that's true, and sometimes something worse happens. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, I get the point.
I live in my body, so there is not a lot that can happen unless something catastrophic happens that I'm gonna just that it's even really gonna phase me. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, there's like like if you live in enough pain for long enough and your perspective around the things that matter shifts, or at least mine did. I know some people the pain makes them worse in that way, but it for me is the opposite, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's how I am with my arthritis. I mean, I am in pain every day. I use a cane to walk when I'm at work. I don't really use it at home because I got enough stuff to grab onto. But when I'm out now, it's every day. I
do
go
you
to the
have
store.
like rheumatoid arthritis, or is it
It is degenerative osteoarthritis. So basically, my knees are crumbling.
okay?
I have no cartilage in the one knee, um, and the other one is well on its way. Um, the one has been accelerated because of an injury that I had back in my freshman year of high school. I dislocated my knee and broke my
Yeah,
ankle because
ouch.
it's like I decided to participate in volleyball. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, all my participation points were also injuries.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell? But yeah, so that, and I had surgery on this knee back when I was 18, and it's just progressively gotten worse. And I think it was 2018 when I had my first really bad flare up. I was going up a flight of stairs and I felt this pop and crunch, and I nearly went backwards down the stairs.
It-
Um, but now it's, yeah, it's progressed to the point where, I actually just went to a orthopedic doctor a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "Yeah, you need your knees replaced. Don't go for a partial, go for total. They're going to have to both be done."
yeah,
And you know, I'm like you in that I go and I research, and I learn how it's done or the complications, and then I went and watched a video, and I went, okay, we're not going to do that part. We're not going to watch the video. I don't need to see this.
it's
Like, it's
so
crazy. Oh
these
my God.
aspects of medicine are so barbaric. It's like amazing that we figured it out, and it's so fucking barbaric at the same time. Like someday we'll have the technology to be able to go in and remineralize stuff. And I know that they're working on stuff to basically replace the cartilage when it's
Yeah.
gone. And there's some studies that are very promising on some of that right now. But like it's they just fucking cut that shit out, and then it's it hurts my brain. My friend had a knee replacement a couple of years ago, and it helped her tremendously.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's, but I went and learned about it because I was curious, and I was just like, I mean, goddamn, like, and I've had, I had a hysterectomy. They pulled my uterus out of my vagina, like,
Yeah.
and the having like your knees replaced, that to me is like, you know, it's
Oh yeah. It's like cutting
yeah,
off the ends of the bones and then metal, and I'm going, no.
right.
We're not gonna watch that. And
Yeah,
normally I don't do too bad with like medical procedure videos and things like that. Like I've watched, some open heart surgery stuff and things like that, and it doesn't phase me. But that, for some reason,
maybe because it's a little personal.
well, and I think part of it is because like when I dislocated my knee, my kneecap ended up on the side of my leg, and it went in and out as they were taking x-rays, and it hurt. Um, and that sensation has stuck with me, and how like
Yeah,
just skin crawling that sensation was. And that's all I could think. That's all I felt, and all my brain was processing when I was trying to watch that video. It's like, you're going to feel this sensation, even though that has nothing to do with that.
right,
And you wouldn't feel it anyway because you're going to be asleep when that happens. But
right.
it's like, oh my God, no,
Yeah,
thank
there's
you.
a yeah, I can totally see it. My brother broke his wrist when we were kids, and he comes into the house and he's like, I broke it. and it's like going the wrong way. And I could feel like my whole body had like this visceral
Mhm.
reaction that it's still there to this day. It never stopped reacting to it. It's just like echoes of reaction to the
Yep.
like, you know, and I'm
Oh,
not usually grossed out by stuff, but
no,
man,
me neither.
that just like,
I think it's what's funny is that like my kids, I used to take them to like the trampoline parks. The built inside and you go and you bounce around. And they loved it. They had a lot of fun. It was, always cool. Never went there and saw anybody get really injured or anything. And then I caught, I don't know if it was TikTok or YouTube or whatnot, where some dude dislocated his ankle on a trampoline.
yeah.
And I'm like, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. No, the trampolines are on the list of things that doctors won't let their kids do because the injuries
Yeah.
are so high and severe. I got a concussion on one, but that's because
Oh,
somebody
geez.
jumped on when they weren't supposed to and ran
Oh,
into me. But
yeah.
they always felt a little bit like I never like I had a friend who would do like flips and lots of cool shit, but he was a
Yeah.
pole vaulter, so he was like way cooler than me. But I was just like, I'm gonna get boinga boinga, and that's it. I'm gonna keep
Yep.
it safe. Like,
Yep. Yep.
give me a handle.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I have always, because I've said before, I struggled with my weight my entire life. So I was always weary of stuff like that because my brain went immediately to you're going to go right through it. Like you're going to bounce once and you're going to go right through the freaking fabric. And
Yeah,
that's going to be the end of it. That was always my thing. And it's like, it's led me to avoid certain activities just because I'm like, my weight is going to cause a problem.
yeah.
Like, funny story. I had a bunch of friends that wanted to go bungee jumping. And I'm like, I'm not, no, no. I'll go with you and I'll watch and I'll laugh when, you fall off or whatnot. But, you're screaming like, a little kid with a skinned knee. Um, but I'm not doing it.
Right.
So I'm up there and we're watching him go over. So I lean over to the guy that was doing the harnesses and everything. And I said, do you think I could do that? And he literally looks me up and down and he goes, once. I'm like, and I just looked at him and I went, fair enough. That's an activity we won't be participating in.
Right.
But he was so grateful that I laughed because he was like, I just insulted this guy.
Yeah.
And he's twice my size. He's like, I wouldn't have been surprised if you had picked me up and thrown me off the bridge. I'm like,
Right.
didn't even cross my mind. But yeah,
I
that's
feel
nope.
like, if you live in a big body, you live in a big body. So
Oh yeah.
there's just certain things that are a reality. And if you get offended by someone else being aware of the reality when they're not being like abusive or whatever, that's a you problem, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah. It is one of those things, and you're right. You're very aware, and it's like for me, um, I have always walked very deliberately. Like I know where my feet are going because every time I didn't, I went to the floor. I tripped over my own foot or whatnot. And it's that idea of, oh my God, I'm a fat guy and I just fell down and everybody's looking at me.
Yeah.
Um,
Even though
when,
your clumsiness is probably your neurodivergence and totally
right.
irrelevant, but people will,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And
people will think you.
but it's one of those things. It's like, and it's like you're very hyper, and it goes with being tall as well. So you're very hyper aware of your space around you because you don't want to bump into things. You don't want to hit your head on anything because you will, you
Yeah.
know. And I like my grandparents' house. I don't know who designed it, but the doorways were all short, and I'm 6 foot two,
Yeah.
and there are some that I had to duck.
Yeah. This house is interesting because the doorways are pretty tall and the ceilings are tall, But when you go up and down the stairs, there's a section of the stairs that I can clear without bending over, but my housemate will hit his head on. And he's like
Yeah.
5'10", I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's like, and then the upstairs is not, I think the ceilings, or maybe because I can touch them, like, so they're not, they're lower than normal. So there's any in the garage is, yeah, the garage is dangerous. You have to be careful. But
Yeah. I had a similar experience to that when I was looking to buy a house, and the real estate agent was taking me to some of these houses where the second floor was either added later or it was just, but it was the roof pitch.
oh yeah, like
So
converted
the
attic kind of thing.
Yeah, so the ceilings were a little lower, and I get up this one. I got up there, and she's trying to show me where the bedrooms are and all this stuff. And I looked right at her, and I said, "I need to go downstairs." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Because this space, I am like I'm feeling like I'm gonna get trapped in here, like I'm going to get stuck,
Right.
and it's giving me anxiety." And she's like, "Okay," and we went. She never showed me one of those houses again.
Yeah.
It was
That's
like,
good that
no,
she
thank
got
you.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
talked about it afterwards, and I was like, yeah, no, wait, those are not going to work. I can't do that. But
Yeah. Yeah, my room has like the pitched on one side, but not the other. And then my housemate's room has it's pitched on both sides, but his room is a little longer because mine cuts off at the stairs, so that's where it
yeah,
doesn't pitch, and his goes all the way to the other side of but the rooms are very spacious, and so it kind of helps with that sense of when I was married, we lived in like a poor man's Victorian type farmhouse, and the bedroom was literally just a converted attic, and it was all like there wasn't really any open space, and then somebody had put the swirly sort of Victorian style wallpaper where it's like the flowers are kind of like
oh yeah,
Indian
yep.
tendrils, and I would have bad dreams. I felt like it was closing in on me. It was like creepy. I was just like, we're gonna have to move our bedroom downstairs. I can't do this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. Well,
Hmm.
let's do the questions and stuff. And
Holy cow.
yeah,
Yeah,
we've been
you've
talking
been.
a long time. I looked at the time. I was like, didn't we just okay? Like
Well, that's going to be two episodes, maybe three.
yeah, at least yeah, probably three. Yeah. Um all right. So, I need three numbers from you. We'll do it one at a time. I need a number between 1 and 3001.
2245.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Like, where does this happen? Because I don't want to live there. No.
Yeah,
That's a no for me.
I keep like, having to look things up after I get the answers because I want to know more.
Yeah, right.
They didn't. I'm not the right audience for this game, or am I?
Yeah, at some point I am going to fall down the chimpanzee rabbit hole
Yeah.
because of this. That can't be right. Oh my gosh, it is.
Then you start sharing it with your friends, and they're like, "But why? Why are you, why?"
Like, it's like, why did you even want to know this? I
Just blame me.
didn't.
I will take
Yeah.
the credit.
Oh God.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm
Absolutely.
finally off hiatus enough to start recording so I can start doing this, because this is
Mhm.
like kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of always like high for a couple of days after I get to have a conversation like this.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you invited me on. This was a wonderful conversation. We
yes.
went all over the place too. People are going
Yes.
to watch this and go, okay, stick to a topic. Holy cow.
I don't think they will. They're very used to me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. The right
Also,
audience then.
almost everybody that's been on unintentionally has been on the spectrum and ADHD. So yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not been on purpose. It's just happened.
Yeah.
I might have a neurotypical eventually, but We'll see.
And of course, that's going to end up being the worst episode. Don't do that again, Leigh. That wasn't fun at all.
There was too much structure. Gosh, they were so vague. They never said what they meant.
Oh my God. So boring.
Cool. Well, I will hit you up for the info that I need, and I will let
Okay.
you know when I'm getting ready to post. It's gonna be a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and
I look forward to
yeah.
it.
So cool. Thanks again. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us and listening. And you should definitely go follow Jeremy, aka Undead Papa, especially if you want to like hear some like sweet vocal readings and see some cool ass art. I will put in a picture of my art into the episode that you did, so
Mhm.
people can see it. And
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so cool.
Cool. All right.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging out and listening. A huge thank you to my patrons. I could not do this without you. Want to support my creative chaos and get access to exclusive content? Check out my Patreon. Have questions and are interested in joining me for a conversation? Email me.